Hello and welcome. I'm Kriti Mehta and you're watching the World Report on NewsX World. Let's start with some of the top headlines at this hour. US President Donald Trump addresses the inaugural meetings of the Board of Peace for Gaza, says there's never been a more prestigious board. Focus on the use of $5 billion announced for Gaza. US President Donald Trump repeats he mediated the war between India and Pakistan, says he had threatened tariffs if they didn't end the fight, adds so they ended the fight and we reached a deal to their liking. British police arrest former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Wednesday on suspicion of misconduct in public office, linked to allegations over his past ties with Jeffrey Epstein. UK King Charles says the law must take its course on former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Wednesday's arrest and added that the British police have his full and wholehearted support. Prime Minister Narendra Modi unveils India's Manav vision, standing for moral, ethical and human-centric AI at the AI Impact Summit in New Delhi, promoting inclusive and responsible global artificial intelligence. French President Emmanuel Macron praises India's digital public infrastructure as a global benchmark and hailed its pioneering role in combining technology with humanity at the ongoing AI Impact Summit in New Delhi. US military forces are prepared to launch strikes on Iran as early as this weekend, according to multiple reports, as President Trump weighs possible action amid nuclear stall talks. Former South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol sentenced to life imprisonment after a court found him guilty of leading an insurrection through his brief 2024 martial law declaration. All right, viewers, let's go across to the Board of Peace inaugural meeting where US envoy Steve Witkoff is addressing the forum.
When we first started envisioning a Board of Peace, but of course under the President's indispensable leadership, and it begins with that. It begins with President Trump's leadership and his direction. We are here today and it's pretty amazing. I think we have some people to thank. We had an amazing partnership between the mediating countries, Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, Prime Minister Mohammed. You are an exceptional human being. You really are. Ali, thank you for everything you did. That's you right over there, Ali. Wherever Hakan is, Hakan, you were amazing. And so was Ibrahim and President Erdogan. And of course, to the Egyptians, Badr, I know you're smiling because we went through so much. And General Hassan was amazing. We all became friends here. And Prime Minister Sisi, President Sisi, pardon me. And so many others. But our team, JD, your insight, your counsel, and Marco, you're an amazing secretary, and it's a privilege to work for you. And Jared, you are my dear friend and the best partner I ever had. You are an amazing person. But Mr. President, it is my greatest honor to work for you. It is the blessing in my life. I've had many blessings. I don't have to be a practicing lawyer anymore. But this is my greatest blessing. But I also have to mention one other person who is important to this discussion. Oh, the Israelis, I forgot. Prime Minister Netanyahu. Without him, much wouldn't have been accomplished as well. And that's really important that we acknowledge him here today, and Ron Dermer. But a person who doesn't care much about the acclaim, we have to acknowledge too, and that's you, Susie. Because I would come back and you would say to me on every trip, what can I do for you? This matters. And you are an inspiration for all of us. So I thank everybody, and let me get on to, am I going on to the next slide?
Sure.
Caroline?
Sure.
Okay. So with regard to the hostages, we're here today, again, I say it, I know it sounds redundant, but we're here today because of President Trump. Without him, none of this was possible. There were 251 hostages. 168 came out alive. 83 bodies were returned to their families so that they could grieve and remember their loved ones.
All right, let's go across to Saul Satka, political commentator from Tel Aviv, joining me in this discussion. Saul, thanks very much for joining me. First of all, only $5 billion have been announced when the UN itself has said that Gaza's reconstruction needs $70 billion. Now, even as these $5 billion go, how can it be ensured that each of this penny is used in making hospitals and schools and homes for the people of Gaza?
Well, first of all, there's no prospect at all that any of this money will be transferred in the near future, because the current situation there is that Hamas retains control over the entire population. And until that ends, it will not continue. The money will not go through, except to provide basic food aid. In such a case, there's no prospect of any of that money getting through to the people, so the money will not be transferred. So the first stage is that Hamas will have to completely disarm themselves, as they have long promised to do. But as yet, there is no prospect of that happening. So in that case, $5 billion is certainly more than enough, because none of it can get sent.
As far as the fund is concerned, who do you think is going to be auditing and managing this amount? Is there going to be an independent oversight committee, or is it fair for the member states to be overseeing this?
You would assume that all the people that have contributed the money would each be appointing someone to some variety of oversight committee. The details of that are not being released. These things, particularly when Trump is involved, tend to be rather opaque, and I'm sure this will be no exception. We can see with the situation with the Venezuelan oil that the money has been sent to Qatar simply to ensure that the various people who would like to sue against Venezuelan oil wealth are not able to do so. If it was brought to the United States, it would be, and one might expect a similar thing would happen here.
All right, Saul, thanks very much for joining me in this discussion. Viewers, we are now going to proceed. Now, Queen Camilla was asked about her son Andrew Mountbatten Wednesday's recent arrest while attending an engagement in central London. As she headed to her car following a concert in Westminster, the Queen was approached by reporters, but she did not respond to the question. King Charles attended a public event in central London hours after his brother Andrew Mountbatten Wednesday was arrested. The King too was met with a mix of questions regarding Andrew's arrest and cheers from the crowd as he arrived. Despite the news, King Charles proceeded with his scheduled engagements, emphasizing that the law must take its course in a statement released earlier. Neither he nor Buckingham Palace were informed in advance about Andrew's arrest. Andrew, the former prince, was arrested by Thames Valley Police on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The arrest is connected to allegations that he shared confidential government information with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein during his time as a British trade envoy. Virginia Giuffre, who accused Andrew of sexual abuse when she was 17, passed away by suicide last year. Her family expressed relief at the arrest, stating that no one is above the law, not even royalty. They also extended their gratitude to Thames Valley Police for their investigation. Andrew has always denied the allegations, and despite this, he reached a $16 million settlement with Giuffre in 2022. And now moving on, viewers, people in London have reacted strongly to reports of the arrest of Andrew Mountbatten Wednesday, with some saying he deserves it. Several Londoners said the move sends a clear message that no one is above the law, regardless of status or title. Others described the development as long overdue, saying it could help restore public confidence in the justice system. The case has once again put the British royal family under intense public and media scrutiny. Let's listen in to what the Londoners had to say.
I'm pleased. Good, he deserves it. Should have been arrested a long time ago, quite frankly, I think. Just abused his position completely. So yeah, it's the right thing for the victims. Yes, absolutely. I think it's just a shame it's taken so long. because he's been hiding behind his privilege and his position for many, many years. So yes, it does give a strong message, and it's necessary. Yeah.
I want to see everybody on the files arrested. Everybody that was involved with Epstein, that maybe that weren't, nobody that was like just like in the files, but like everybody that was involved with him personally on the island, anybody that was doing anything illegal, immoral. I want them all arrested. I want them all tried. Yeah.
And viewers, the India AI Impact Summit 2026 in New Delhi brings together global political leaders, technology giants, startups, and researchers to deliberate on the future of artificial intelligence through the lens of inclusion, responsibility, and measurable impact. As the first major AI summit hosted in the Global South, the event underscores India's ambition to shape global AI norms while advancing domestic capacity. Now, my colleague Thomas Portis is joining me from the venue of India AI Impact Summit in New Delhi. All right, viewers, those are visuals streamed live from the India AI Impact Summit. As you can see, it's a full house. There are world leaders from around the guest. Let's go across to my colleague Thomas, who's there with us. Tom, day 4 feels like the most high-profile day so far. What makes today different from the earlier days of the summit?
Well, yes, today really was the global business and geopolitical pinnacle of the summit. We saw the Indian Prime Minister in attendance this morning, along with French President Emmanuel Macron, Brazilian President Inácio Lula da Silva. Among tech leaders, you had the likes of Sam Altman, OpenAI's CEO, who spoke this morning alongside the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and of course also the Google CEO Sundar Pichai. It was a significant day here in New Delhi when indeed many of these individuals got together and talked about strategy and deployment, where this stuff is really going to matter. And so this very much was the peak of this summit today. And we'll see everything wrap up tomorrow, hopefully the signing on the dotted line. But most of the geopolitical agreements have indeed occurred today.
Tom, how much of today's agenda is about technology and how much is actually about geopolitics?
Is a lot of this is very much geopolitical. India is using the summit to position itself as the leader in AI in the global south. And it really has attracted the biggest names in the industry. For example, many of the speeches used today, but particularly by these top Indian businessmen, was AI access to be more equitable, with leaders warning against a global AI divide, underlying, of course, and subtly referencing the United States and China, who control 70% of the AI market. That message came very strongly from Sundar Pichai, while the UN Secretary Antonio Guterres emphasized global cooperation and AI funding for developing countries. And so, yes, strategy was paramount here to the geopolitical situation, and it attracted world leaders from around the globe.
And we now move on, viewers. Queen Camilla was asked about his son Andrew Mountbatten Winstead's recent arrest while attending an engagement in central London. As she headed to her car following a concert in Westminster, the Queen was approached by reporters, but she did not respond to the question. King Charles attended a public event in central London hours after his brother, Andrew Mountbatten Winstead, was arrested. The King too was met with a mix of questions regarding Andrew's arrest and cheers from the crowd as he arrived. Despite the news, King Charles proceeded with his scheduled engagements, emphasizing that the law must take its course in a statement released earlier. Neither he nor Buckingham Palace were informed in advance about Andrew's arrest. Andrew, the former prince, was arrested by Thames Valley Police on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The arrest is connected to allegations that he shared confidential government information with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein during his time as a British trade envoy. Virginia Giuffre, who accused Andrew of sexual abuse when she was 17, passed away by suicide last year. Her family expressed relief at the arrest, stating that no one is above the law, not even royalty. They also extended their gratitude to Thames Valley Police for their investigation. Andrew has always denied the allegations, and despite this, he reached a $16 million settlement with Giuffre in 2022. And viewers, those are the latest details that are coming in as far as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the former prince's arrest, is concerned. He was arrested earlier today on the day that was marking his 66th birthday. Meanwhile, the Thames Valley Police are conducting searches at his Berkshire and Sandringham residence, hoping to make charges on the prince once details arrived. Meanwhile, let's also tell you that King Charles has also issued a statement on the arrest of Andrew, and he said that the royal family will be cooperating with the police in the investigation, and said that the law will take its course.
I'm pleased. Good, he deserves it. Should have been arrested a long time ago, quite frankly, I think. Just abused his position completely. So yeah, it's the right thing for the victims. Yes, absolutely. I think it's just a shame it's taken so long, because he's been hiding behind his privilege and his position for many, many years. So yes, it does give a strong message, and it's necessary. Yeah.
I want to see everybody on the files arrested. Everybody that was involved with Epstein. That maybe that weren't nobody that was like just like in the files, but like everybody that was involved with him personally on the island, anybody that was doing anything illegal, immoral. I want them all arrested. I want them all tried. Yeah.
Surinder Lali, foreign affairs expert from New Delhi, joins me in this discussion. Surinder, thanks very much for joining me. Firstly, in your opinion, how historic is this arrest of Andrew Windsor?
Hi, it's such a pleasure and an honor for me to be here. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I don't think it's anything historic about it, and why I say that is because, you know, the Jeffrey Epstein files have been out for a long time, and the erstwhile Prince Andrew also paid $16 million to her.
Yeah.
So they have known that over 1,000 girls, you know, their sexual preferences or their rights were violated, and they didn't do nothing. And now they've only reacted because some of the emails that came out had some information where he was working pro bono for the British government to further the interest of trade. So it's unfortunate that still, as we speak, the issue is not really what happened to those 1,000 girls, which, you know, were almost, it's criminal what happened. But they're still worried about the trade and what happened in that and what sort of information he revealed when he was traveling, or the erstwhile, you know, British diplomat to the United States. So I'm not too sure. For me, I think maybe this is just a hogwash to sort of, you know, let people's frustration out, bring the economic issue to it. But the Epstein files is not an economic issue, it's a moral issue, it's an issue of, you know, pedophilia. But they haven't reacted on pedophilia yet. They've reacted on, you know, what he did, what sort of information he must have passed when he was just the pro bono trade envoy. So I'm not too sure about it. I still feel that this is a fig leaf, and they're trying to skirt the larger issue only to keep the bigger issue on the back burner.
All right, I requested to stay on, Mr. Surinder. There's in fact some breaking news coming in. Let's go across to that. Now, in a significant diplomatic announcement, viewers, the Norwegian Foreign Ministry has confirmed that Norway will not be participating in the newly established Board of Peace, spearheaded by US President Donald Trump. The decision marks a divergence from the international efforts led by the Trump administration to address the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Norway, a long-time advocate for peace in the Middle East, is instead set to host a crucial meeting this spring. The event will focus on the Norway-led Palestine Ad Hoc Liaison Committee, which plays a central role in coordinating assistance to Palestine. Now, this move underscores Norway's commitment to a multilateral approach, prioritizing dialogue and cooperation with international partners. Viewers, that's all we have time for. Keep watching News X World.